If you're not motivated to sew, one of the best ways that I've heard that sums this up really well is don't let your feelings dictate your actions. If we wait to feel like doing something, we're probably not going to do it. Ask yourself, what is one step that I could take that will get me closer to a finished project? That might mean taking out a pattern and putting it on your table. It might mean opening up your ironing board to be ready to press after you've washed and dried and pre-treated your fabric. What is that small step for you, and what does that look like? What I do try to focus on is what is the next small step that I could take to get me closer to finishing this project. Rarely do I ever have any doubts or sense that I could have spent my time in a different way when I take those small steps. In fact, I feel much better, much more fulfilled, much more encouraged, much more positive than if I had spent time scrolling my phone, reading the news. For my own sense of decompression, relaxation, resetting, my own creative output, those small action steps on my sewing projects are what get me closer to feeling better, feeling good, and feeling more at ease in my day. I do try to make sure that I remind myself that it's not a burden, it's not an obligation, it's not something else I need to do, it's something that I want to do, which is something that I think is really key when you're trying to set goals or you're trying to set targets, is choose something you want, not something you feel like you should do. I try to not go 2 days in a row where I don't take another small action step. I might set out the pattern on a Sunday, knowing that I'm gonna, over the course of a week, take small steps on this project. Monday, I might not do anything, between work, between family, between household needs, I may not look at it again, I may not touch it again. But by Tuesday, I'll take the next step, at least if I haven't done it on Monday. If it's a packaged thing, I'll take it out of the envelope. If it has printed out instructions, I will have the instructions laid out, flip to the page of the next action step that I'm gonna need to take to work on the project. Then I walk away again, and I've set the stage for the next step. I know exactly where to pick up. The key thing about not skipping 2 days in a row is that in the course of a week, even if I didn't do it on consecutive days, I'm at least ahead of the game. I had 4 days out of 7 that I've spent working on my project, as opposed to 1 out of 7 or 0 out of 7 days in a week. One thing that I wanted to make sure that I acknowledged and that I made space for was that not everyone is going to have a designated space or area or place that they could just set out a pattern or pattern instructions and leave it on a table and count on the fact that no one's going to mess with it, whether it's your significant other, your kids, your grandkids, your cats, whomever it might be that might be kind of pawing at your things if you leave it out while you're working through your motivation. Many of us are having to pack away our machines at the end of the day. If we left something out, it might get dirty hands, dirty paws, dust, might get stepped on. A whole host of things means that we can't just leave projects out and kind of dip in and out as we please. Decide for yourself what is the most realistic action step that you could take that is going to keep you on that positive path forward toward finishing your sewing project. What is the next step that you could take to get closer to that feeling, that action, that mood? Your action steps are going to get you closer to that. Waiting to feel like doing it is probably not the best thing to wait for. There really isn't ever a good time. Sometimes there's a good time, but many times there's not a good time. And what happens when we let that be a barrier is that we don't do the things that help us relax. We don't do the things that help us decompress or reset or help us feel good about ourselves. Another idea is we do the things that we have to do, that we should do, because there are consequences if we don't. When it comes to things like our own personal hobby, there are no consequences. It's just us. So when the consequences are yours to dole out, your living does not depend on whether or not you sew. Your meals for your family does not depend on whether or not you sew. But your own sanity, your own sense of fulfillment and satisfaction and creativity does depend on it. That is not something to take lightly. If you don't do it for yourself, no one else is going to do it. No one's going to hand that to you. It's yours and you need to take it. You will be a better person for taking on that project and doing something creative, doing something that's purely for you than if you didn't do it. Think of all the things that suffer when you are not the best person for yourself. Remember that these action steps are meant to help nourish your own creativity, your own sense of artistry. No one could hand this to you. Take that first small step, that initial plunge. What is that one small thing that you can embrace now that gets you one step closer to where you want to be? And take it. Take it. No one's going to give it to you. So take it and love it and relish it and let it be yours. It can't come from anyone else. The kindest, most generous people can't give it to you. You could do it. And I have complete confidence that you can achieve what you set your mind to, whether that's a skirt, a pillowcase, a coaster, I don't know what. You could do it. I look forward to hearing about it when you start.